Hello. So, a little reflection after what was an interesting outing for Claire a day or two back when I went to see Cindy and indeed Vicky at Boys Will Be Girls, and we went out to a local bistro, I guess you'd call it, not too far from where they are. So, first time out for Claire in quite a while. Now, normally when I go out, I feel incredibly self conscious of how I'm moving, my sort of walking gait, my tone of voice, my mannerisms, and that means that I don't normally fully settle into allow myself, as it were, Claire to come out fully and properly. Um, Unusually, that wasn't the case on this particular visit. So it gives me an opportunity to reflect on the experience really, and why it feels so comfortable being out as Claire. It happens that the very bistro I went to, not a word I use for often, bistro, but I think they probably consider themselves an upmarket coffee bar, serving some very nice pastries and things like that, and lunches and so on. Um, I had actually had a coffee in before I went to Cindy's. So this was literally not too much over an hour before I returned as Claire. And indeed, when just because I was curious, I asked a rather, I guess, odd question to the waitress who had served me earlier. Do you recognize me? I didn't let her hang on for too long before sweating over that question. Is this someone from my dim, distant past or anything? Before revealing and actually showing her a picture taken, as I say, just over an hour before, and she had absolutely no idea. She was incredibly gracious, as everybody were there, and nobody. I was just treated normally. It's a kind of nice experience because it is one of those everyday things. It's not like going to a ball or something where you're putting all the glitz and glam on and maybe going out hoping you're going to attract some positive compliments. This is just one of those things where you're kind of blending into the background and everybody's getting on with their normal lives. The sort of thing that we do 99.5 plus percent of the time, I would think. So, was there something tangibly different about being Claire and feeling comfortable as Claire in this scenario where I was sitting down having a nice lunch and coffee with a couple of dear friends, beautiful people, Cindy and Vicky, as I would have done had I been there as Clive? And I think at one level, there is not that much difference. The engagement would have been very similar. Um, Feeling very comfortable and happy in this environment, just in enjoying company and so on. But what I did pick up, what I do reflect upon, is there's something really quite subtle. When my body dysphoria is kicking in, as it does quite often, and was the case at this time, and possibly combining that with what you might call psychological dysphoria as well, there's something really very comforting about feeling that you are in the right body, that you're embodying who you want to be. Now, it's strange because, of course, I'm not in a real body. I'm in a body that has false breasts and certain padding and so on that gives the illusion of being in a feminine body, and not just in any feminine but any female body, I would say, either. It is about being in a body that feels right for me. So the shape, the size, and everything feels right for Claire. It feels like it is mine. I think there's something going on here very similar to the phantom limb syndrome, I think it's called. I'll post on that separately another time. But actually, even though you're aware, for example, in my case, I was wearing false breasts and a bra, it just feels very comfortable. I can't imagine, I can't know if it's if that well, certainly the physical sensation is not going to be, and because it's false, is not going to be a real experience had I real breasts, but certainly psychologically and in terms of feeling comfortable, the sense of feeling embodied, it is more than enough to fool me, essentially. That is how I feel I'm not just presenting, but embodying. So something very subtle there. And all I can say is it just feels very comfortable and right. It's a bit like coming home. So no great difference to being in that very same place and very same scenario as Claire or Clive, but a subtle one. And of course, if you feel at home, you feel comfortable within your body, and also comfortable with how you're presenting to the world as well, then that's a very nice place to be. Nothing to do here, I don't think, with wanting to be attractive. There's no kind of performance going on. It's not, as I said earlier, it's nothing about glitz and glam or anything of that nature. It's just one of these really everyday and as I say, 99% plus of the day experiences that I would expect to have as Claire. Anya is very different, of course. She is my other femme sub personality, and she does like being seen. She's very confident, outgoing. She does like performing, and a lot of that, of course, is in that 0.5% or whatever it is percent of the time that most folks might engage in some of that activity. But yeah, Anya's a different character altogether. But of course, Claire is much more of my authentic self. And that's why it's especially interesting to be able to reflect on this, given that usually I'm so self-conscious that I'm not really properly settled in and able to have much of an awareness about fully embodying being Claire.